Welcome to you, Mad Hog, the podcast conceived out of brotherhood and presented with love. We'd first like to thank everyone that tuned in and joined us in our first year in 2025. We really appreciate the support, and hopefully you will stick around for 2026. So this is our inaugural, or not inaugural episode, but inaugural for 2026 episode. And this is a topic that I've really been interested in presenting to the people, and it's the attack on Black women. Sounds like a dark topic to a degree, but I think we'll get some enlightening information out of this episode. But before we get started, let me introduce the panelists for this week. We have our normal cast of married men in Ken Merritt, and he is happy that the Eagles lost, extremely happy. So he should be smiling this episode. We have Anthony. I would pay Dak $100 million more. Humphrey. We have Richard. I'm taking a vacation in Venezuela free. We also have Tyron, the Lion Suck Bond. I feel for you, Tyron. Bad time in Detroit.
Good time in Detroit. The Pistons doing their thing.
It's gonna fall apart, but it'll fall apart by the end, man.
Yeah, not like Charlotte.
Right.
Haters.
We also have Raymond. Let me talk some sense into you, Cooper. And then, of course, we have me, Paul Fleming. They call me the Bionic Man now, since my shoulder is back in play.
Hey, who was we?
Daggone $2,000 man for $6 million.
Now we couldn't discuss the attack on Black women without having Black women voice their input on this episode. So we have three guest panelists today. We have Ms. Charlene Gladney, and she is a native of Greensboro, North Carolina, and she completed her master's degree in electrical engineering at the University of North Carolina, or North Carolina State University, excuse me. She also got her master's degree in electrical engineering from North Carolina A&T State University. After graduation, she worked at Xerox for over 20 years. And then she joined the nonprofit arena and started her own nonprofit called Operation Excel. And they offer academic and enrichment programs for youth, kindergarten through middle school. They also offer some programs for adults as well. So I want to welcome Charlene. We also have Pam Smith-Thompson, also better known as The Firm. All right. And she is a proud graduate of UNC Chapel Hill. She's also a serial entrepreneur, radio host. You can catch her on the Sports Shop with KMack and Reese. We'll include in the bio how to watch that each week. She's also an event planner and host. And her motto is, it's my passion to make a difference in all things that I do. All right. So thank you for joining us, Pam. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then lastly, we have Ms. Adrea Gladney. She's an HR professional. She's a 2020 graduate of University of North Carolina at Charlotte. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration and psychology. She's also an avid singer. So maybe before the end of the episode, she'll give us some bars.
Hey, it worked out for the Dr. Pepper girl.
Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Do-do-do.
To a national TV commercial with an audience of tens of millions.
Oh, wow.
You never know. All right. So again, our topic for this week is the attack on Black women. And we want to approach that from a couple of different perspectives. We want to look at what this administration is doing and, is it intentional? Some people say yes, some people say no, but we want to discuss that and see what Black women actually think. We also want to look at the attack on Black women within the Black community. In my experience lately, it seems like there's a lot of animosity on social media directed towards Black women. But is that real? Is it something just made up for social media, or is it something that is a real thing within our community that we need to address? We also want to take a look at or discuss, is this something new? Has this always kind of been here if it's a real thing? And then finally, what do we do to support Black women, Black girls, and ensure their success going forward if they are intentionally being attacked? Okay. So again, the first topic or first piece of this is the current administration. And, you know, the guidelines they're putting in place, the changes they're making. Are we feeling those effects? Are Black women feeling those effects? Do you know people that have felt those effects? And what's going to be the outcome of it? Okay. So who wants to voice their opinion first? I know Ken has got something to say because he's looking down. He's like,
No.
I
always got something to say. I'll wait this time though.
We'll yield to the Black ladies.
Right.
I'd love to hear their perspective.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So Charlene, Adrea, Pam, feel free to jump in wherever
I'll
you
start. I mean, I think it really is affecting Black women. I think especially the biggest one being with the DEI cuts. You see that. I think that affects Black women in the leadership. You know, I think loss of jobs, especially a lot of Black women in that work in federal government. My counterpart up here, nonprofits suffer really, really bad with all of these cuts and the grants from federal government. A lot of nonprofits are run by Black women. And not only now are we trying to fund the organization, but we have to fund just to keep our salaries because of the cuts are so bad. So it feels very, very intentional. I feel like with the Trump administration, it just seems like every chance he gets, you can, you know, see from insulting our intelligence. He'll go after looks. He has specific Black women that he'll target. So it feels like it's very intentional, and DEI was the best place for him to start.
Yeah, definitely. I think over, was it 319,000 women lost their job, Black women lost their jobs in the first half of the year. Unemployment among Black women went from 5.4% to 7.5% by the end of the year. And I think the national average is like 4.5%. So it's a lot higher among Black women in terms of unemployment. So I think we're definitely seeing those effects within, you know, the community at least.
I'll jump in. I definitely agree that it feels like it's worsening what we were already fighting and rolling back progress on some of those things you guys mentioned around employment and career opportunities, even like healthcare, and like we think about maternal mortality and just stuff that we were already battling. It's definitely causing more adverse effect. But personally, for me, I think some of the biggest harm is psychological. Like, I think that we're no stranger to fighting for opportunities and, like, you know, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents and watching our back in corporate spaces. But I think this constant state of like hypervigilance that we have right now, just because of everything that's coming at us, is not sustainable for people's well-being. And being in a corporate space and working in HR, you can see how people are kind of shrinking back. People who used to, you know, be more bold and speak truth to power, they're more careful and cautious around like some of the things that they, you know, want to say or do. So I think that is definitely the impact I've seen right now.
Adrea, have any of your friends been impacted by any of these, new guidelines that have been put in place? You know, DEI and, you know, excluding DEI, things of that nature. Have they been affected by any of this?
Not specifically the DEI, but I do have a friend, a really close friend who works for the government, and she has had quite a time. She's still employed, but just the stress of whether she's going to be furloughed or what that looks like. And also there was some pressure around, she has a reasonable accommodation. There was some pressure around that. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I think it was targeted. So I kind of helped her rework her reasonable accommodation, but definitely they're trying to pull things away from people that they wouldn't have otherwise been paying attention, I think, if not for the administration rubber stamping discrimination, basically.
Gotcha. Understand.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, my cousin ended up retiring from the government because of some of the policies, I say that with air quotes, that they were starting to implement, and she worked for the federal government. But it affects our family personally, because my oldest daughter is in medical school. She's a third year medical student. And the new policies on the student loans, she can no longer get a subsidized loan. And we know that for most of a lot of African Americans and African American women, they need the financial aid to get the higher education degrees. And by taking careers like nursing out of the professional category and limiting the amount of loan money you can get, then it's definitely going to affect our community first. That, I mean, when cuts happen, they seem to affect our community first.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And that I think the policies cut that loan limit in half, basically. I believe it was a lifetime of 200,000. It went to 100,000, and I think it's 20,000. Went from like 50 to 20,000 in terms of a yearly loan amount that you could get for certain degrees, and if they are not professional loans or professional positions anymore, or entitled professional positions. So great point there for sure. Fellas, how do you guys feel about this? You feel it's targeted, or you just feel it's a byproduct of just the path of this administration and just the guidelines they're putting in place?
I mean, I think we all know that it's targeted.
Absolutely.
From the very beginning. I mean, before the election, I mean, you had a plan on black and white on paper. So it's in front of you. But like I said, we're less than a year, or we just passing a year. And if that's the first thing you go after out the gate, considering the things we have to deal with, you definitely know that it was intentional. And so my main thing is, let's just admit it. It is what it is. They're not holding back on, telling you what the plan is. And so if they show you, you believe it. I mean, that's the one thing I will say, at least it's out in front. And so we just have to learn how to deal with it and have a plan to counteract it.
Okay. Now I think we have a dissenting viewpoint, so we definitely want to hear that. So Rich, go ahead and jump in, man.
I don't want to say that it's completely targeted. I don't even think it's targeted. I think what we're up against is a government that was bloated and old systems that were in place. And it might feel targeted, but we're finally seeing a administration that is addressing a lot of financial corruption, imbalances. They're trying to right the ship. And it may seem that it's targeted, but it's not. I mean, listen, what is it that we talk about? The black woman is the most educated, right?
That is true. That's a fact.
Okay. So in the private sector, unfortunately, when there's layoffs, you have to go find a new job. I mean, if the goal is, based on what they're saying, is to cut back spending, to rein in spending, to streamline, I don't see it as them saying, okay, this and that. I would like to see the numbers on how many sisters, percentage-wise, are employed by the federal government.
So, Rich, I have a rebuttal to that, right? I do not think it's spending. I want to reel you back in, right? This is a calculated plan to really enforce the civil rights for individuals that have been historically marginalized groups, dude. This doesn't have anything to do with money, right? This is a well-designed plan that's been initiated to rewrite the books. So everything that they came along with civil rights and giving us equitable opportunities, they're disassembling that. You look at the Department of Justice, you look at the Department of Education, And to Todd's point, it goes back. All of this was part of their project. It's not new. Now, whether people took the time to realize and read through that, this is all by design.
Yeah.
Now, I think unfortunately, it may start with Black women because it's more of them, right? So,
In the federal government?
No, it's more of them that are educated. So adversely, it's going to be more of them affected, right? I don't think it's ideally just set for Black women. I think it's anybody that's marginalized. And we all are lumped into that category. Now, that's just how it shakes out of the bag. You got more Black women in the labor force. That's proportionally, their numbers are going to be skewed much higher because they have attained more education and more degrees. So that's why that number is largely for the Black female population.
Okay. So there's a couple of things I want to point out before someone else jumps in. I've got an article here. It says from February to July of 2025, 319,000 Black women lost employment, right? It says in the same time period, white women gained 142,000 jobs, Hispanic women 176,000, and white men gained 365,000 jobs in the same time frame. So if we think it's not targeted to Black women, I tend to disagree with that just because of numbers like that. Also, we see Trump targeting specific people in the government. The National Labor Relations Board member, she was let go. There was a member on the Federal Reserve that he tried to get rid of, and she fought back and she's kept her job. But he has pinpointed he doesn't like Black women, in my opinion. And another thing I thought about today is Black women voted against Trump overwhelmingly. And we know how Trump is about people that he said don't like him, right? He fights back just as hard against them. So I think it's a pinpointed thing, but
the numbers you gave,
yep,
of the addition of jobs.
Yep.
Okay. The bulk of those jobs that were lost by Black women were government jobs.
A lot of government jobs, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What it doesn't explain is the increase in jobs for those who were white. What I'm saying is if it's during that same time frame,
mm-hmm.
and people are just losing their jobs governmentally, they haven't had a chance to go and get into the workforce. So those numbers are competing. You're showing the attrition, but you're showing jobs gained by white folks in the private sector. These weren't jobs gained.
This was private.
Gained in the government.
No, those numbers were private and public sector jobs. Private and public sector.
Okay, so the 312 was private and public.
319. It was both.
I mean, it's not hard to figure out. If you go after DEI first.
That's right.
That's the plain and simple. If you go after any job that's minority based or with any kind of DEI element to it, the bulk of those jobs are going to be minorities in those positions. We know,
we already disagree on the whole DEI piece, gentlemen.
So let me.
If I'm going under the knife for surgery, I want the best doctor. I want the doctor
even if she's Black.
We're not doing that.
Even if she's Black. Even if she's Black, Rich.
When we coach football,
even if she's Black. Say it. Even if she add that part to it.
Absolutely.
Even if she's a Black woman. Say it. Don't say absolutely. Even if she's a Black woman. Can you say that? Can you say that?
Absolutely. My argument.
He didn't use those words, did he? Did he use those words? Even if it's a Black woman? Okay, thank you. Because that's not the way at times you've talked.
Well, the fact that he even brought that up in that context.
Right.
No, hold on. The fact that you even had to go there to explain something like, I didn't mention nothing about professions, and I said
you said DEI. You said DEI.
That's right. But
That's
I didn't.
all
But why do you
based
think
on
that?
race.
Hold on a second.
It's based on race, Ty.
Hold on a second.
It's
So
based
no.
on race.
It's based on diversity, equity, and
based on a
inclusion.
number.
It's not all race.
Exactly.
It's inclusion. Don't forget
Race,
the other word that's there.
gender,
Not all
race,
race, but
gender.
not all
At
race.
the end of the day,
Not on race.
If it wasn't for DEI, we would not have the blind
That's right. The deaf,
sidewalks. We would not have handicap
any disabilities.
bathrooms.
That's right.
I mean, there's all kind of diversity. It's not just racial diversity.
and
And
him
for
to go
some
out-
reason, this administration seems to be focused on race in DEI. It seems like nobody knows the meaning of diversity or equity or inclusion. You're trying to build inclusive spaces so that everybody, not for, you're not carving out anything for the Black woman or the Hispanic woman or the Black male. That is not the truth. And an affirmative action for a fact helped white women more than it helped anybody. And I was a product of affirmative action, and I'm not ashamed of that, because my first engineering job I got with a large company. I will not say the name. I was the only Black female engineer there, but I was the smartest person there. And half of my jobs that I had, I was the only one with the master's. So
You
I
performed very well, and because of that, you probably continued to go up the ladder. You probably showed them, hey, look, I'm the best thing you got going. I get it that in the past there was a need for that, and I'm not saying that we don't totally need. We don't need it. But
you just said it. I mean, go ahead and say it. You might well finish it. Don't back off. Hey, say it with your chest. You're gonna say it. Say it. Don't back down now.
Because even though you gave her credit for getting there and doing it, I just want to make sure, because he's right. She worked her way up on it, but do you realize she still makes 64 cents compared to the dollar that the white man made for the same job?
And that part.
Right. And Rich, let me say something to the panelists and everybody watching. Hold on, Rich. You know good well DEI is not about giving unqualified people the opportunity. You know that. You were like, do you want the best? It's not about giving people that aren't the best the opportunity. You know that. We talked about that on this podcast.
And we've disagreed. Disagreed on.
Rich, DEI is not about giving unqualified people opportunities. You know that.
That's the way they paint it.
A lot of times they are the most qualified people.
Yeah, that's how you paint
it. Say that again, please.
And it's portrayed that
say
way
that again, please, Adrea.
Yeah, I said that a lot of times they are the most qualified people who, for not DEI, would not have the opportunity to be in the space that they're in.
Thank you.
And I think my mom said a good point earlier. I mean, it's not truth. I think that this administration deals in lies and slander personally. And I think that's the smokescreen they want to put up, because they're dog whistling to the people that they want to say, hey, this is what it's about. So they can rile up their base and they can say, yeah, look at these people over here taking my jobs, when really DEI helps them too.
Yeah. And I want to ask Charlene about something. Do you remember when you told me, you mentioned about the first job you had in Henderson and how they tried to sabotage you at that job, right?
Yes.
So,
I found out after the fact, because I left and went to another company and researched Triangle Park, and a white student that had been there at the same time thought I knew all the tea, and he spilled it, that my direct supervisor was also the head of the local KKK.
Oh, wow.
So it was not an accident.
Wow.
So that's what we're fighting against, except we don't see people in robes anymore necessarily. They're out in the open wearing suits and khakis and white shirts.
Well, I mean, he wore a suit to work and he was educated. And at that time, I thought that hey, somebody in the KKK could not have an education, but he had gone to a university. He had a 4-year degree. He wore a suit every day. I never knew it, but after hours, he was pressuring the white male student to come join in the shenanigans, and he came and told me all about it. So they were there in corporate America, in a place. You're a manager. You make hiring decisions. You make firing decisions.
Right. So that's why I think we need these. We need DEI. I think we still need affirmative action. But you had something you wanted to say, right?
Yeah, I think we have to sometimes get away from the cause and effect and the simplicity of cause and effect, and as we try to build arguments for or against a particular issue, because there's layers to all of this. And while most folks try to play checkers, there's folks out there who are playing chess, and those layers provide a groundswell of opportunity for people to move the needle. Case in point, right? So not only do you have legislature that changes or policies that are put out that change the way folks are now required to hire, then you have the speech and the comments and the press conferences that go along to help fortify that. So now in the mindset of the people who are making the decisions, who still are overwhelmingly the majority white males, now in their mind, it's okay to change up the way they were being forced to consider diverse candidates, diverse opportunities. Now it's okay to not have to account for that. So when you start compounding all of that, you start to see what you're seeing in terms of who's losing jobs and who's gaining jobs. There's no direct one-for-one relationship in this. It is stack on top of stack on top of stack that drives the overall outcome that, again, as someone mentioned, it's not a secret. It's right there in Project 2025. It's right there for the reading. It is very strategic. It is very pinpoint. And every time that there's something that someone pushes back on, they're looking for one particular reason, and they're not taking the totality of everything that's being done that is pushing that agenda forward.
Yeah. Can I add to it? Because as I've said before, I've done DEI work for 25 plus years, right? And the thing that makes my head explode on this topic, and Rich, I got to point to you because this is what you do, right? You kind of act like if we didn't have DEI, then things move back to some point of fairness and equilibrium. That is not the case. Without those programs, it moves back to cronyism and nepotism. That's where the world, that's the world, and that's the country that has been for people of color, and to the point said before, DEI was not just a race-based thing. Did you know military veterans are part of DEI programs? Right. And that's because most people had preconceived notions about them coming into the workforce, and that had to be undone. They had preconceived notions about disabilities that were mentioned, and so we kind of know, because it's always been this way. In the absence of programs, policies, and procedures that drive at least opportunity and some level of fairness and even sometimes overcorrection, we get what we've always got. And that ain't fair. It is what in this administration of all should be ashamed of themselves. And the second thing that makes my head explode is you kind of reference them like they've been some kind of like paragon of equality in making sure opportunities happen, when everybody in the administration and everybody who's gotten jobs in around it has been part of their club. It's not this thing that's fair and open to people. So you took away one bias you didn't like and accept the one that you do, I guess you do like.
And not to mention people that's been a part of this administration have been less qualified and have been placed in positions of power.
Yeah, good point. Great point. So we'll watch this this administration going forward to see, where this ends up. I think Black women are going to rebound in a very strong way. You can't just replace excellence with subpar and expect things to operate as normal. I think Black women have
Hold on.
hold on. I'm not finished yet. Hold on for a second, Rich. I feel like, hold on. I'm not done.
You make it seem like they.
I feel that Black women have been striving. They've been achieving. And I think it's going to pay off no matter what. Okay. We can't just say, hey, we put these Black women out of jobs because they weren't qualified. We know they were qualified. And I think they're going to rebound in a strong way. Right. So now go ahead, Rich. What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, that's my argument. My argument is knowing that they're exceptional, right? And that we don't need crutches, right? That's my argument, that cream always rises to the top.
Well, here's the thing, Rich.
So,
and in the midst of that,
I think Black women are going to rise to the top, not just because they're excellent. It's because who's replacing them is subpar as well. So, but anyway, Pam, I think you have something more to say.
I was going to say to Rich, no, we don't need crutches. You're exactly right, but we do need funding. And one of the things that's happened with this administration, if you receive any type of federal grants, then there's a list of words. Now, when you're writing your grants, you have to sweep your websites and all those things there are certain words that you can't say. Now, and you said it's not targeted and it's not intentional, but you can't say accessible. You can't say affordable housing. You can't say Black. You can't say community anymore. You can't say disability. You can't say female. You can't say gender. You can't say LGBTQ. You can't say injustice. You can't say trauma. You can't say a woman. You can't say underserved. So you can't use, and there's words, the list goes on and on. So now this is something that you can't say when you're trying to go get funding. So if you're working with an organization, whether you're leading as a woman or man or whatever, with DEI, and now these new words that you can't say, how do you get funding? So we're not asking for a crutch, but you need funding. You need financials.
And that's why they come to a brilliant lawyer like yourself and find out how to navigate, how to maneuver. I don't see it as a situation that can't be overcome. That's that looking and saying there's no way that this can be done is a victim mentality. And my argument is we have always, obviously with God behind us, have always been able to navigate and to overcome those obstacles.
Yeah, and we did that with the program
in business.
We did that with the program. So why is it always you get somewhere and you have to start over all the time? I mean, that's the whole point. We'll overcome. I have no doubt about that. But why do we have to keep overcoming? So why can't we hear some other group of folks?
Well,
I mean, you keep saying that, like, okay, they'll find a way. We found a way. Then when they found that way, let's remove that way and come another way.
Because it was getting a little too equal, Ty. It was getting a little too equal.
I heard someone say that the internet and Facebook, Instagram, and all of that was to our detriment because they saw how we were living and how we had overcome, and there was backlash. And I never thought about it. And I was like, I thought.
Black Wall Street, hey, tear it down. Hey, you overcome that. I just want to keep overcoming.
Anytime you are a nonprofit, it should be in your bylaws as a business to know that there may be issues that are going to arise because administrations change. I mean, that should be like standard number one. Like, I know that if I'm in business and a lot of my money and funding comes from the government, and the fact that it's turnover in government and different ideals, then I have to be strategic. And maybe I don't count on that revenue stream for everything. But in business, you have to be strategic. I mean, that's a given, right?
That's true.
You can't just expect everything. The one thing in business is there's always change. There's always change, right?
Yeah, but businesses get bailed out. Farmers
all the
get
time.
Exactly. Farmers get subsidies.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's the way it works.
It's okay for certain groups. We got you.
And Rich, you mentioned hurdles. There always have been hurdles. There have always been hurdles. But you've got me running a race against someone that has one hurdle, and I've got 2 or 3 that are in my lane. That changes the race.
So,
that we went down this road. And to Hump's point is humanity for all. That's it.
That's cool.
That's it. It's not hard. Neither one should have to suffer. So now we're talking about the inclusive part for everybody. These laws and civil rights and everything that came out of that was for the liberties of inclusiveness for a multicultural society, not for Black society, not for white society, not for Asian society, multicultural.
Right.
We seem to be suffering more than anybody else.
Yeah, we're definitely taking a beat.
And I'd like to underscore that because I think it's not just the policies and programs of DEI, but even the EEOC has changed their focus and their priorities in looking at or halting altogether investigations for LGBTQ, religious accommodations, like more than just race, gender, and harassment and those types of things. They're shifting their focus to reverse discrimination and that neglecting, real issues that people are facing, real protections that they should have in a workplace.
Yes.
That's a great point, because a lot of these guidelines are for protections for certain groups. It's not necessarily all about just a job per se. If you have a lawsuit or if you need something investigated, you might be out of luck if you're in the wrong group. As a matter of fact, I believe they've encouraged white men to bring lawsuits for discrimination.
I'm Andrea Lucas, chair of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. Contact the EEOC as soon as possible. Time limits are typically strict for filing a claim. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees. Check out eoc.gov to learn more and read our one-page explainer about DEI-related discrimination.
In the workplace. So, it's hard to believe that in a world where white men actually run everything still, they're trying to protect them. But that's a great point, Adrian. Great point.
But it's not really hard. It's not really hard. I think in some ways we got to get out of the fallacy here, right? This is all part of the Hub always refers to a playbook. It is in so many ways the opportunity when you close those gaps. You close not only we're not talking about jobs, we're talking about wealth and eventually power. And so to kind of funnel things back to the way it ought to be in their minds, they'll just pivot the system in a way that finds a way to put the money back in the hands of those folks so they can advance the power as they see fit. It's not accidental. It's audacity is what it is, right? They're doing what they intend to do here, right? And I think we have to call a thing. Stop being surprised by it, because it is I think Ty started out talking about the plan that was in that Project 2025 playbook, because we also have to remember that isn't the only playbook that was ever written on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's been going for years. Yeah. Yep. So all great points from both sides of this issue. Let's move forward and let's talk about this narrative that I've been seeing lately with Black men hating on Black women.
All I see on the internet is Black men downing Black women every day. in our comments, it's way more men. I would assume when I started this journey that it would be women hating on women. Every bad negative comment about me is mainly from a man.
Black people, we need to talk about an elephant in the room. And that's all these black men out here in the public sphere who clearly don't like black women. Exhibit A, Stephen A. Smith. And y'all already see me talk about Shannon Sharp and plenty of others.
I don't date black women because you don't like to get put in your place. Which place? Your place.
Which
and when you get put in your place, you think you got taught like a man.
That's why they were cheating on you.
That's why I don't date black women. I shouldn't have said that. Man, you don't think I should have said that? Man, it's fine. I don't date them neither. If that first one, I was like, I gave y'all a shot. No, I'm gonna go to another race. I could make a black kid with a white person if I want to. I don't need your black ass to make one.
I see it a lot on social media. There are people that have made, their social media careers off of that. Now, some people might say like a Kevin Samuels. I didn't think he was hating. I think he was helping people out. But either way,
okay.
So, but there are many people on social media, black men, that do seem to have a grudge against black women. And is that a thing that you ladies feel in general at this point in time? Do you feel there's more of that going on than maybe in the past, or do you even feel it at all?
I think you see more of it now with social media. I definitely see more of it, and I kind of had to take a deep breath when you said it about Kevin Samuels, because I don't think he liked women at all. But that's your friend. I get that. But I just think he didn't help this situation. And I think there's a bunch of people that are out there mimicking his same, the things that he, did. But I think I feel it. I see it. I hear it all the time. It just seems a lot of bashing of women. It's like, okay, do y'all not like black women anymore?
And where do you feel like that comes from? Because it seems like it's kind of been a shift in the last, since maybe COVID. It's been a shift in this voice that's come out. And, there are women of all races that, have their issues.
Right.
But if you look at the women on this podcast, if I think about the women that I know personally, I just don't understand where just the blind hate comes from. So where do you think that comes from, Pam?
I think, I think you can get that on both sides, women and men, but I just think it's about not being healed. I think it's a lot of people walking around not healed and looking for someone to blame. And you got men that maybe, not as transparent about being hurt. And so they take it out on a woman, so now they're bashing women. So I just think it's a lot of people that are not healed.
I got you. All right. Huh?
Yeah, so I'm going to take it back to the layers in this, right? Again, we talked about who's the most educated sector of people, black women, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no secret, or it hasn't been too hidden, that there was a rise in the success of black women and the independence that came along with that, where there was not the need to depend on the black man as it may have been in the past. And as that accelerated, you don't see folks who are secure with themselves. To Pam's point, the healing hasn't occurred in so many people, that the people who are the black men who are confident in who they are and are comfortable with, seeing others achieve their dreams and aspirations, you don't see them doing the bashing, right? It's usually going to be the ones who are looking side-eye at somebody and say, you think you're better than me? And they're taking their shots. And oh, by the way, social media provides the medium for them to be able to do that and reach a bigger audience. I think we've had pockets of this along the way, but there has never been a way to consolidate that for so many views. Now, compounded, another layer, compounded with the other side and an administration who's constantly taking shots at black women. And again, that oh, it must be okay, I can do it too, starts to play in. So again, we start talking about layers of things, man. We can't look at things as a cause and effect. There's a affluence of things that happen that drives to behavior that we're seeing across the board right now.
Now, Adrea, I want to ask you. You are a single young lady, right? Do you feel any animosity towards you from Black men?
I think it's such a nuanced conversation towards
Hold
me
on.
personally.
Hold on. Speak your mind now. Speak your mind. That's all I'm saying.
I'm getting there. Still slow walking.
Right.
No, I think I've seen and experienced it. I don't think I've so much experienced it in my bowl, just because the community that I'm around, we don't do that around here. But I have seen it secondhand, and certainly on social media. I think we talk about, like, is social media a real place? But ultimately, what we feed the algorithm is what the algorithm is going to give us. So it comes from somewhere. And I think, to Hump's point, because this administration and because right now this is what they want to magnify, I don't think sometimes Black men are aware of how they're, I'm not going to say being used, but kind of, you're saying what they want you to say. And so, yeah, you're being rewarded or you're being amplified, whether that's through the algorithm or whether that's through people like Stephen A. Smith, who, you know, you get these opportunities and you get a podcast and a mic, and now you're bashing all of these women. And, you know, you're doing what they want you to do. And I think that's really unfortunate. And I also agree that I personally, and this may be harsh, but I think it's a little bit of resentment is what I feel, because of, you know, Black women's independence and just the way we have overcome. I think we have all, of course, been marginalized and oppressed, but at least Black men had patriarchy on their side. Women, we had all the cards against us, and we have figured out a way to excel and exceed. And I think there is a section of Black men, especially in my generation, who just find themselves struggling to figure out how to overcome some of these humps, and not, you know, to their own fault. They have a lot stacked against them, but I think there's a resentment of saying, you know, how can you figure this out and be, you know, big and bad and not need me, and I'm stuck in this condition. So I do agree that it's, you know, we need to do some inner work, it seems.
Right. Understandable. Fellas, how do you feel? Do you feel, have you seen this from people that you know and, you know, friends or co-workers? Have you seen any type of backlash? Or do you feel that on a regular basis? Do you ever see that?
I think social media amplifies the loudest voices, as it was already stated. But I also take it back to the breakup of the Black family. And I mean, I know that sounds like that's a cop-out or not necessarily the cause, but in the breakup of the Black family, as that young lady just eloquently stated, the sisters, the Black women, you know, got on their grind, and in a lot of ways took on the role that young men who were going to be adult men should have when it came to getting educated and doing the things necessary to be a provider. In this economic climate, you know, you got a lot of disparity in relationships. And I don't know if it's so much animosity, but when you have those gaps, I mean, somebody goes to school and they are enriched in all kinds of subjects. And then you've got the guy who just went and got a job manufacturing or working in a warehouse. There's huge disparities in conversation, in things that they would agree on. You know, they always got these love stories that make it seem like it's a doable thing. But, you know, a lot of times there's no match. That match doesn't occur. But the reason I say the breakdown of the family, I think in those solid families where there's a father and a mother, those fathers can instill in those sons to go and, you know, do what's necessary so that one day they can be a provider. I mean, we've coddled a whole generation of young Black men to either go be a sports athlete or be a rapper. And I'm not saying the people on this panel, I'm just saying, if you just look up and down the board in our community, there's a huge gap between women who are educated and young men who are not. And I'm not saying that those situations can't work, but when you look on social media and you see, like I said, the loudest voices be amplified, and the girl says, well, if he ain't making 6 figures, we ain't got a chance anyway. I mean, you got a woman the other day I saw said that she was sending an app to the young man who wanted to date her as a deposit for her preparation for the date. Just to go on the date with her, he had to make a deposit into her preparation app. So all I'm saying is, I think there's an economic disparity, there's a social disparity, there's a lot of gaps out there, right? I mean, the music of the day is mumble mouth music, and our young men are gobbling it up. These sisters want somebody who can talk to them. You know what I'm saying? They ain't want nobody up in a. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They want a dude who can lead, who can converse. And you get it. There's a huge gap, man. And I think if we can get back to the basics of what family is, we can reverse a lot of this. We can. And we can encourage these young sisters, you know, who are on career paths and say, hey, you see what they're doing administration-wise, let's be strategic about your career goals. You know, family unit is there to support and strengthen. And I just think we're missing that. Our community used to be the strongest.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of both minds on this, right? So where I agree with Rich, and I don't know if I refer to it as the family structure, because of the way our families were kind of ripped apart, you know, from slavery on, right? It was systemically ripped apart in those times, and you can argue that over our evolution, is if they've ever been, say, as strong as they could have been. But I do agree that there are too many young men who don't have great role models for imposing on them how they should treat Black women, young Black women, right? I really believe that, right? I kind of even think about the music of our time and how calling women to B or calling women to H and all those kind of things. And so I just think over time, they're like, you almost have to work harder to teach a young Black man to have the utmost respect for Black women, because you got to offset what I think is inertia of disrespect and things that are just societal forces. But on the other side, I have seen this in other cultures, and I kind of spent a couple of summers in, not whole summers, but weeks in China, right? And was teaching consulting over there, and had a conversation with locals and how the room was disproportionately women compared to men, right? And what I learned in their culture is, generally speaking, Chinese women are hungrier than Chinese men, right? They're more go-getters. They are higher achieving. They tend to work harder. And so when I asked the person who was a local kind of why, like, one, what was the genesis of that? They kind of said it came back to the one child rule that they had at one time, right? That if you were like young women, young girls, when they were born, there were literally some families, if it was a girl, they jettisoned the girl, and so it didn't count against the one child, and because they wanted a boy to continue like their lineage and name. And so what it created is a generation, multiple generations of girls and women who were just more scrappy, right? And eventually it became a little bit of a dynamic between men and women. Again, I don't, I wouldn't necessarily say we are like them, but the dynamics of one, I firmly believe Black women tend to be more scrappy than Black men, and it may be because of some of the stuff that we've kind of encountered over the years.
Well, so let me ask a question though. Does any of that inherently make a Black man not like Black women? Because that's the point. The hate against Black women. It's not whether men are in the household, because
not necessarily.
Because you would think
you would think, the breakdown.
That's what I'm saying. But here's what I'm saying. You would think if a woman raised the child without the man, the child would have more of an affinity to Black women, right? So it's kind of contradictory to the point we're trying to say. We're trying to say, well, since there's no Black men in the house, they don't know how to treat Black women. But every time you see a football player that came from a single parent home, they love their mother, right? So is there some disconnect with loving their mother but not loving their mate? Is there some disconnect in that? Or just where does this hate come from? Because I was raised in, essentially, I live with my grandmother, right? I've never, no matter how many times a girl dissed me or a Black woman did something bad.
Hold on now.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We've known you a long time, P. Be careful.
Hold on.
I may say I don't care for her, but I'm not going to go out and say all Black women are bad. Black women ain't jack. I'm not going to say that, right? Because just because she dissed me don't mean that she's not a good person. She just didn't like me.
Hey, Hump, he just say he's surgical with this thing. He was specific.
Look, I have a ton of female friends, and they're mostly Black for the most part. So I do think this whole thing with the rise in Black men being upset with Black women, I get it. But I think the social media also kind of skews it a little bit.
No, and Paul, I also think I was gonna say, based on what they were saying earlier, a lot of it is, self-inflicted. If you're not happy with yourself and your situation, I mean, you tend to lash out. So, I mean, it's almost like when someone's sick and you're taking care of them. You're kind of harder on your caregiver than you are other folks. So I think a lot of it is what the young lady said earlier. It's, there's been a rise in Black women doing what they do. And if you're not doing what you need to be doing, it's easier to, instead of taking accountability, to kind of lash out at the other ones, So I think, and then that along with social media, like you said earlier, to see all this, and then the rise of just what sells, the Atlanta Housewives, even those shows, you don't have, it's about them, not about, most times about the men around them. And so I just think, like you said, when you see that confidence and you're not doing what you want to be doing, because sometimes it's due to situations, some self-inflicted, some not.
So you hitting on some good stuff right there, bro.
I just think you take that out on those closest to you, and that's the easiest, because like I said, when my father was sick, I always say, I tell my mother, look, just, hey, take a break, because you're there, but he loves you, but but the one that's doing the most for you sometimes are the ones who takes the brunt of that,
right?
Because you don't show it to other folks, so it's either to take it out on the one that's there. So I think it's it's a lot of different elements.
I don't want to belabor this, but has everybody on the panel heard of the term YN?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we know about that.
So that term, when I hear it, the first thing I think of is, where is his day? All right. It's just automatic for me. Okay. So what Ty just said is, there's people that are hurt. Hurt people, right? We all agree on that. So a YN who likely came up under a single parent, likely was coddled, never gave any responsibility, let him play on the Xbox all day, because that's mama's baby. But his sister got to go do the homework. She got to make sure she brown the ground beef before mama get home. The YN ain't ever had no responsibility. No respect for authority. Now he graduates because the schools don't fail nobody no more. They push him right through. He finishes and realizes he can't get no job better than $15 an hour. And you can't live off that. So maybe he does have some animosity because hurt people. He thinks back to, dang, mama pushed Sheila, but she ain't pushed me. She let me be coddled by these games, never being serious. She never held me accountable. Dad was not in the home to hold that young man accountable. Now, that ain't all situations. That ain't all of them. But I'm just saying.
But
that's
Rich,
where I come to my conclusions.
So, Rich, that explains the YN, but explain that 55, 56, 58, 60 plus year old.
Yeah, that dude got hurt. Somebody broke his heart. Somebody broke his heart.
That's what I was gonna say. I see less YNs with that type of attitude. Most of these guys I see online with that type of attitude, they speak very clearly. They seem like they have at some point had some, education and home training. They just seem very upset for nothing more than likely. But I don't see YNs out too busy out. They're doing what YNs do. So I don't really see too many of those. Like for example, Rich, you know who the Hodge twins are, right? Those dudes they're well spoken enough, right? I think they may have come from a split home, maybe, but they light skinned brothers. They ain't had it that hard. So the Hodge brothers cannot stand black women, and they can't stand black people. What? And I'm just like, dog, I just don't get it. I can't feel it. I can't mess with it. It's just weird to me. It's just weird. It's just weird to me.
It's unfortunate that that's what they put out there. And if that's their boat, then so be it. That's not cool. So
right, but I think we all can agree there is some type of pushback against black women. As part of it is, I think that black women are, getting very successful as a group. They've been successful for years, right? Yeah, kind of outpacing black men. Some men get mad with that, but they still date black men that ain't doing jack. We see it all the time, right? There are chicks that guy don't have to necessarily be doing it. I just talked to somebody today that was like, my friend is basically supporting this guy. He lives at the house. She drives her car, and she's a successful person. So, I just don't understand the dynamic and why we have guys pushing back like that. Because black women are nurturers.
That's right.
They black women go look out for you. If you got her back, she gonna have your back. So that's why I don't know where all the push is to make all black women that stereotype that we see, because we see the women on this podcast are nothing like that. And that's, one of the key reasons I wanted to expose people to these are the black women I know. These are the black women in Hump and Rich that right? I'm not gonna say I haven't run into the stereotypical black woman, but most of the black women that I run into and that I see on a regular basis are nothing like that stereotype.
That's right.
When men talk that stuff, I don't understand where it really comes from. So
if you don't understand it, imagine what we're going through, especially single women.
Right, for sure. So hopefully we can get that narrative. We can start to change that narrative and not have such a negative light shown on black women, because it's just kind of irritating at this point.
You know,
I think you're doing a great thing now. The conversation, that's what it starts with.
Right, for sure.
Conversations. We've got to have more conversations with each other.
But let's wrap this up with our last piece here. And what do we do to support Black women and Black girls going forward? And how do we ensure their success? Because it's going to be harder education-wise, right? It's going to be harder employment-wise going forward. It's definitely tough for Black men. But how do we, as a community, start to uplift Black women more and put them in a positive light and on a road to success? Any ideas?
I think we need to affirm their identity and continue to make pathways for education and careers, create safe spaces for them to achieve and grow, and nurture all of the potential that's the way I see it.
All right, so just continue to create those spaces, try to create opportunities. We talked about scholarships earlier, and I saw there was a lawsuit against was it Jasmine Crockett, right? Where she had a scholarship that was geared towards young Black women, but they said that was illegal now, essentially, because it's geared specifically towards Black women and it's not open to everyone. So we can't even we've got to think of creative ways to even get money and funds, as Pam mentioned, to our Black women and Black men, of course, but specifically, Black women that are looking for these opportunities. It's going to be harder for them to find them, for sure.
One thing I do want to say, I think I saw a statistic where as the Black community, the dollar moves out of our community quicker than any other community. And that's something that we should.
Oh yeah, you're breaking up. I think your connection was bad, Charlene. So
I like that though. I like her mindset on business, entrepreneurship. I guess we got to ditch any kind of victimhood mentality, if there is any, and we got to, embrace faith, family, and run headlong on the business side. We need to support those businesses. You're right.
Kind of like Black Wall Street, right?
Yeah. We have to be advocates for each other.
Yeah. And
see, y'all still living in what year did that happen, huh?
It doesn't matter. It's the same concept that you're talking about.
There were no cell phones back then, huh?
Talking about, Rich. It's
there
the
were no
exact same
cell phones
concept.
back then.
There were no cell phones back then. What you just described around family, what you described around educating, building ourselves, being strategic, being scrapped. That's the same thing that happened, bro. And there was a way in where it was deconstructed.
And it was horrible. It was dastardly.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. And what I'm trying to employ is that if we're going to do that, there has to be another part of it that protects it, so that we're not repeating what happened in history in the past. It doesn't matter when it happens. No matter what happens in history, if we're not educated,
right, it can repeat itself. It can. I agree. But I think we spend so much time obsessed with those things that it puts us in a level of stagnation. Because when you say
those are the same things that derail progress, dude.
It creates a level of fear. Well, if I do that, that might happen to me. And if you're operating in a mindset of no victimhood, faith that our Heavenly Father will see you through. I mean, most business owners, if they let the fear control them, they wouldn't go into business. They wouldn't do it.
Rich, you remember earlier in the conversation where you mentioned that you have to be strategic in your thinking? that you have to accommodate
Yeah,
for things that can affect your business.
absolutely.
Those are things that can affect your business. So it's not a fear thing. It's a making sure you're aware of them and that
Sure,
you plan for
sure.
those things that could happen. So again, if you don't know about them, you don't educate yourself about them, and you don't prepare for them that it could happen, then it could repeat itself. That's all I'm trying to say. You were saying the same thing I'm saying, bro, but you want to fight me, but that's cool.
I don't want to fight.
But when it
Rich,
does happen, I don't think it's automatically victim mentality.
Right.
You mentioned
Right.
victim
Yeah,
mentality. Things are going to happen. You may be up today, and tomorrow it could be a
Absolutely.
different thing, but you wouldn't see yourself. You see yourself as a victim. No, I mean, I don't think it's victim mentality. Just
So what
you're having a
Pam,
period where you're down and things are going to happen, or you lost your job due to it's not that you're sitting in being a victim. I mean, you're sitting where you are until you can move to the next.
But I think
And why does he use the coded word of victim? Why does he attack the individual instead of talking about the system?
To continue to say that
because we've heard enough about the system. I mean,
we have.
It's always on.
We have.
It's always on.
So Rich.
And I agree with Pam. I agree with what she's saying. I'm just saying that when you're in business, or if you are an entrepreneur looking to get into business, you go in just like Hump says. No, I'm not trying to argue with Hump. I just find it ironic that we always got to go back and look. Everybody know. If you don't know about Tulsa at this point, you never will know.
Stop.
So it's like,
to go into business, you need money, you need resources, and Black women get less VC money, less investor capital money, less and fewer loans from banks. They get less support than everyone else, and so stop making it feel they just gotta have faith, family, and friendship, and they'll be okay. That is horse shit.
Great.
They need money. They need support.
Ideas and plans get funded. They do.
Wow.
They do.
Okay.
They do.
Yeah, and there's a sequence to that funding, and there is a sequence to that funding, and you know who's the last to get it? They look like these beautiful sisters on the screen.
As long as you don't put those code words into that funding request, you'll be okay.
That's
right.
Exactly.
You can get it as long as you don't.
And that's why she
don't use the word woman.
Yeah.
Don't use the word woman. Like you did a federal grant.
And she started the race way behind others, especially the white guys. Because when she was working, like I said before, she made 36 cents less than he did for the exact same job. So she couldn't save as much as he did. And you already said she don't got no man in the house. So how is she supposed to pool her resources to start this business that is just based off faith, family, and friendship? How does it happen?
I didn't say friendship. You're making up stuff now. But go ahead.
Now I am. But you did before.
Look, friendship is one of the biggest things in business that somebody can have half the time.
Hello.
You know, that is how a lot of business deals get made. It's fine that you can say that we can say you got to work hard. Everybody understands that. And there are going to be obstacles, but we cannot stop pointing out the fact that there are these injustices that are pinpointed at certain demographics. And it's never stopped anyone from being successful, right? You can be successful for sure in America, but when that wall is 10 feet as opposed to 2 feet, right? Or when you don't have to carry a bag over your shoulder that weighs 50 pounds, right? That someone else does, and go over a wall that's 8 feet higher. There's a difference in that, and it's unnecessary. Wrap this up with our individual thoughts. I really appreciate our guests joining us. So we're going to let you guys jump in first and give us your individual thought. Again, this is everyone gets their 1 minute to say whatever is on their mind. It could be anything at all. If you want us to support an organization, if you want to, tell a joke, it doesn't matter. So, Charlene, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Well, I want everybody to realize whatever people are trying to take away is really, really important, because they wouldn't be trying to take it away if it wasn't important. So, education. Education is how we turn potential into power. It's the difference between being told what the world is and having the tools to question it, shape it, and improve it. Education builds skills, yes, but it also builds voice, the confidence to speak up, the ability to solve problems, and the freedom that comes from understanding your choices. DEI matters because talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. Diversity brings the lived experiences that fuel better ideas, and equity means we remove barriers so people can actually access what they have earned. Inclusion is the daily practice of making sure people are respected, heard, and able to thrive, not asked to shrink to fit. And voting matters because education and DEI don't sustain themselves on good intentions. They require policy, funding, and accountability. Voting rights are the gateway to every other right: the right to safe school, fair wages, quality health care, and equal protection under the law.
All right. Excellent.
I don't think we should say anything else. I think she said it all.
Right. Adrea?
The only thing that I think is on my heart and mind is the currency of love. I think we are forgetting how powerful that is. And I think that not only like in our own community, but just even with one another in this society, remembering how powerful it is to walk in love with one another. The Bible talks about how perfect love casts out fear. It also talks about, loving our enemies, and not just love in feeling, but servitude, like how do we look out for one another? How do we, pull our resources? How do we show up and the times that it matters? And so that's what's been on my mind as we watch everything that is unfolding right now, the things that happen in Minnesota and just everything, our humanity, our empathy, our love for one another.
All right. Perfect. All right. Pamela?
I would just really like to leave something that I say to myself every day, started this year, and so for the Black woman, just making this a year of your light year. We talked about a lot of things that we have to carry. So don't carry anything that's not meant for you to carry. So make it your light year.
All right. Perfect. Rich?
Really didn't have anything written out or thought of on this, but just off the top of my head, two things that I'm pleased with from the Trump administration, and that would be the Venezuela situation. We freed a lot of people. I'm looking forward to lower gas prices. I hope you guys like lower gas prices. And I can recall early on how upset you guys were when I was all for Doge and them exposing corruption. So I'm certain that each of you have been pleased with the exposure of the Somali daycares and the money that has been wasted, taxpayer dollars. So, and we were talking about business, I guess while it's still okay, maybe we all could start our own daycares using taxpayer dollars. That seems to be quite profitable. But those are two items. I'm pleased with the exposure and the developments that we've seen.
All right. Okay, Ty?
I'm not sure if Rich saw, who was the leader of some of that Somali money, but I'll send that to you when we get off.
Oh, Paul sent it to me. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
so it doesn't matter who it was.
Yeah, I know
It's
it doesn't.
corrupted.
I know it doesn't. But when you put Somali on it, make sure you put that on it too. But anyway, my last, I listen to a call every morning, and one thing, I'm a girl dad. My last child is my daughter, and what he speaks on every morning is, one thing that doesn't have Democrat or Republican on it is investing. And so teaching our young ladies confidence, but teaching them how to invest, so they can make moves where they're not dependent on anything else. Because one thing about the market is that if you teach them how to do it, teach them how to fish, they can eat going forward. And so I think that's one way as a community, not just the young women, but young men too. There's so much going on with this gambling and this other stuff that's going on. We need to teach them that skill. I wish I knew some of the things that I'm learning, but if we start with our kids now, it can be generational. So that's the one thing I think we can teach them, because the market has no politics to it. So it's a good place to start.
All right, good deal. Thanks, Todd. All right, Quake.
Hey, I just want to say, keep advocating, keep fighting, stay in the fight, be the change you want to see. How we do that every day. How we lead our lives, how we lead our homes, how we lead our professions. If we continue doing that, the change will come, right? It may be slow, but the progress is gonna add up, and we'll have to change.
Perfect. Kim?
Yeah. The MAGA militia is out of control, right? And if for those who don't know what I'm talking about ICE, right? There was when the big BS bill passed, I kind of said the most dangerous thing in it was the funding that the president got to create his own militia, right? Mm-hmm. And so my ask of us is, don't be numb to this. Don't ever get numb to what we're seeing on TV. We can't get used to it. We can't get used and comfortable with military on the street, for one, but these guys ain't even that, right? They don't even play by military rules. They don't even play by law enforcement rules. They aren't even trained in any of the things that has been properly instilled in those two important institutions in our community for generations, military and law enforcement. These guys are not that. These guys play by MAGA rules. That's why they can shoot a lady in the face and get on TV and lie to us about it and think we believe all the crap that they spew. It's absurd. So one, don't get used to it. Two, let's support one another as we go through this kind of stuff, because it's tough. It wears on all of us. I love what was said before about love and taking the high road, because I think we all need it, right? And depending on what neighborhood you live in, it's closer to you in some than in others. And the last part about it is, even if it's not close to you, once we start down this road where injustice and these kind of things can be acceptable, it can happen to you. It can happen to your neighborhood. It can come to your family. And so let's not get numb to what the MAGA militia is doing.
Great point. Hey, Hump?
Yeah. So for those of you who remember last year when we started the podcast and we started going through all the things we were discussing as we progressively got towards that first couple of months, you saw me get a little bit more agitated. I was going through some whole thing myself, but I'm doing it again this year, and it's Speak that is a part of Alfred Street Baptist Church, Pastor Howard John Wesley there, and it's a progressive fast, and the intention of the fast is to strip away those things that are distracting you from getting closer to God. And last year for me, it was a struggle. This year is still a struggle, but it is a struggle that is far more informed on the journey. But every morning, 7 a.m., we get a message, and we carry that message throughout the day. And pastor's really good about providing something that's relevant to the day that we live in. And in the week of where we just came out of celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. and everything that he stood for in terms of peace and equity across all races of people, the message is really hitting home as we walk out our door every morning and we see the things that are happening. And to Ken's point, if you're not feeling that in some shape, form, or fashion, then you're not human. And if we become numb to it, to his point, is then we're not necessarily living up to the standards that were set before us and the expectations that Jesus died on the cross for us for. So we got to think bigger than ourselves. And Seek is allowing me to start to look at things a little different, and not just from a superficial standpoint, but removing those obstacles, remove those things that allow that typically prevent that path and that journey and getting closer to God is always refreshing at the beginning of the year. And as we continue with that, I pray that more people find a way to find that path, whether it's a long journey, short journey, or whatever it takes to help you improve your life and those around you. But more importantly, have an impact on the path that we're going on in this country that is not necessarily going to be productive to a better way of living in years to come. So everyone stay blessed up and please stay focused on making sure that the path that you're on is making the world a better place.
All right. Excellent. I'm going in the complete opposite direction of that hump. So
of course
we'll tell you guys a quick story. So I said I wanted to reach out to younger people. We're all of a certain age here for the most part. Adrea is a little bit younger, but I'm talking even younger than her, right? So I think we need to start reaching out to those kids. But I was at the Y a couple of weeks ago, and I'm working out, and the kids, about 4 kids came up and they started doing something on the weight bench, and they were just using the N-word. They were cursing. I couldn't take it. I looked over. I was like, "Look, dog." I was like, "Let's cut it out," right? So they kind of looked at me funny. They cut it out for a minute, and then one of them kept letting the N-word. He was letting it slide. Man, I about beat all them little kids' ass right in the wild. I was so hot. Oh, I was so hot. So, but my point is, those kids hang out with like my youngest son sometimes, right? Like he plays basketball with him and stuff, right? But I just think we need to as older people. I know they think we're ancient, but back in our day when we were younger, even if you were cursing and saying the N-word, you knew when to say that stuff and when not to say it. Now it's just part of people's language, and we got to stop normalizing that, man. We got to stop normalizing acting like you have no sense in public, acting like you never been raised by anybody. Like you just living on the streets. And I know they weren't. They had parents. Eventually, one of them got kicked out for a month. The other one's got a talking to. But I'm telling you, man, I just the disrespect that I see nowadays. It pushed me back to the old Paul, man. I know Hump and Kid know that, and Quake. I was there, dude. I was like, look, every one of y'all, I'm about to give it to you.
Get it.
Dog, I was so hot. But I've got to understand. I mean, I want to reach out to these kids, and I want them to realize that they're better than they're presenting themselves. So hopefully this podcast can help with that a little bit. And two sites on Instagram. There's a page called Carolina Bangin'. It is news for the streets. That's what these kids are. That's what these kids, that's what they're looking at. They got 18,000 followers on this page, and it's all kind of gang life and stuff like that. Hopefully they know there's something outside of that. So hopefully I can get some of these podcasts, touched on that page, and they can start watching, and maybe they'll see another way to go in life. And then my boy Nate Jackson, he's a comedian. If this was a little bit of a heavy topic, check out Nate Jackson on Instagram or Facebook. He is hilarious with his crowd work. And if you can catch him live, please do. it'll put a smile on your face. So that's my thing. But anyway, I didn't go to jail. You know, I know you probably thought I go to jail. I did too, and hopefully they don't come back after me and hit me up at some point. Because they might. Again, that's what I told Kim. I was like, dog, they might catch me coming out the wild one day, and they might light me up, man.
You'll be all right.
But I want to thank
the scariest thing on the planet is a YN between about the age 12, about 12 to age 19. That's about the scariest thing on the planet. You would be careful.
You are not playing.
They show up like O-Dog.
Hey, and one of them was big. He was a big kid. So.
Was that
I want to thank again Charlene and Adrea and Pamela for joining us and giving their insight perspective. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies.
It was fun.
And please come back anytime you want. And hopefully we'll get this episode out sooner than later. So
get to work, editor.
I know, right?
I thought you were gonna have Adria sing us out.
Oh yeah. Give us some bars, Adria. Give us some bars, man. Give us a song.
I don't have any bars. Let's see. Well, the only song in my mind is a gospel song, so that's what you're gonna get. Those are the bars.
All right, give us a gospel verse. Give us a verse.
Okay, I gotcha. May your struggles keep you near the cross, and may your troubles show that you need God, and may your battles end the way they should, and may your bad days prove that God is good. Yes, let your whole life prove that God is good.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Outstanding. And we'll link in the bio, links to your songs, and I think you got an album out, right? Is that an album or just
EP? It's a little old, but yes, I do have an EP.
We'll put a link for that, and people can check that out. And again, thank you, ladies, for joining, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yep, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right, perfect.